Welcome, welcome,
Welcome
welcome.
back, guys, to our podcast. And to adjust
Episode
this,
episode two.
episode two, yes.
Episode two.
Episode one was nicely interrupted by our
Children.
beautiful kids.
Yes.
So we learned from that to now record in the nighttime
In the nighttime.
when
With
they're
some
all sleeping. It's all
Pink
quiet.
lights.
Oh, yeah. Looks nice.
We added some little to it.
Looks very much like pillow talk right now.
Yeah,
So,
now it feels like sexy time, baby. Anyways,
oh, yeah.
we had a cool introduction
hmm
for our first episode. And yeah,
We're going to go a little bit deeper.
we wanted to go a little bit more deeper and a little bit more, I don't know, deeper.
No other word, just deeper. Yes.
We just wanted to, go more into details.
Mhm.
Also how it's been a little bit being married. Maybe we can touch on to that.
Yeah. Let's see how far we go with the details.
And
Then we see if we can mention that part.
yes,
'Cause there's a lot of things.
we have a lot to share.
Um,
After 7 years being married, we have a lot to share. I mean, it's not as much as maybe others, but it's a lot. Still a lot. So we've learned a lot, and through all of that, we want to share it with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, last time we
But-
talked about how we met in the cafeteria.
Yes. How we started dating,
Yes.
or decided to go all in,
Yeah.
having the talk.
Mhm.
And
But yeah,
also-
I mean, we had a lot of oppositions for sure, and it was strange because it was coming from Christians.
Mhm.
The Christians, like we have
Christians.
have a video now that our kids are
Oh, my
watching.
goodness.
Story
Starkeeper.
keeper.
In case you
and-
guys don't know it, it's like really old Bible stories. Bible storytelling. And it's about like a baker's family that is taking in Christians during the Romans time. And I started because I watched it when I was a little kid. And so I was so happy to find it in YouTube that I was like, I need to share it with my kids. And now they've watched it and they have been obsessed with this. Let's go after the Christians. And I'm like, no, please not. You are a Christian.
Jason is like, I'm not a Christian. He doesn't even know what that word means. It was like, the Christians are coming. Let's go. I'm like, yeah. In one side, I understand. Some Christians can be quite mean. So, no joke. But yeah, we had that also. Yeah.
But I think to go a little bit back, like, who are you? Where do you come from? And start from there, and then maybe put that into what we had to navigate through our relationship.
Didn't you introduce yourself last time in the last episode?
Not really where you came from, just shortly.
Really? Okay. In case I did it before.
I mean,
Gonna
you
do it
did
again.
Nigerian. We know that
Yeah.
you're Nigerian.
I mentioned it, yeah. Somehow. So, yeah. Anyway, my name is Ebenezer Jonathan. But most people know me as Ebony Jones, nickname. Got that through music. And I'm from Nigeria, from Kogi State actually. So my language is Igala. So for those of you that are Nigerians, you know where that is. And actually, what took me to the place where I met you was that I was quite involved in missions.
Mm.
I was traveling quite a bit. Started traveling from Ghana at the age of 17. Started traveling, doing a lot of stuff, and traveled to South Africa and to other countries, and then this whole mission journey led me to Hawaii. Nice place to end.
Yeah.
So I did actually graduated because I was doing missions but also studying. I graduated there in Hawaii. And then just, switched to the media department because my my main study was in visual arts. So I just moved from graduating to working there, to staffing there.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing when my beautiful wife
Came back.
from Germany came all the way. So that's like a short introduction of myself. Like family side, I'm the firstborn of six kids. Uh,
Pastor's
oh yeah, pastor's son.
pastor's son of
Yeah,
a beautiful church in Abuja.
in Abuja. So I mean, we used to live in Abuja. They still live in Abuja. But yeah, so we had like four boys and two girls. The girls came at the end. So
Finally,
my mom really wanted girls, and then God was like, okay, okay, okay.
I will grant it to you.
And she was like, I think I'm done giving birth. I'm like, nope, you're getting the girls you asked for. So she got the last two girls at
Yeah.
the end, and they're giving her stress. The boys were a bit chilled. The girls are like, oh. But anyway, love my little sisters. And yeah, so on your side, and when she shares her part, you're going to see a lot of similarities also in our family backgrounds. Yeah. Who are you, babe?
Who am I? That is the big question. No, I'm just kidding.
Always dramatic with her response. Always.
I just like to be a little bit more dramatic. I'm typical that person that makes my husband like I'm the one that makes him laugh. Like I in a relationship there's always like this one person that is like I wouldn't say the boring one, but the more
Serious one.
serious one. And then there's one that is more the one that can laugh about
Everything.
him, herself, and everything. And so I'm more that person. So I would do silly stuff. Like today, I was just starting to dance in the street with my kids, some ballet stuff. And my husband was like, I don't know this person. Who is she? And yeah. Anyways, who am I? So my name is Ruth Jonathan. Used to be Ruth Schroeter. I'm so happy that I now have the last name Jonathan because Schroeter
It's
is
nice.
very
There are other people
German.
there are other people that are still bearing Schroeter, so you need to be nice.
No, but I love. I mean, I love both names. I prefer Jonathan, but yeah. Anyways, yeah. I come from a big family. Also have 5 siblings.
So altogether you are
6. I'm the firstborn of 6 children.
not very typical for Germans.
I have 3 brothers after me and then 2 sisters. And yeah, my mom is Swedish, half Swedish. And my dad is typical Bavarian. I mean, I wouldn't say typical Bavarian because that would mean he would also speak Bavarian, but he doesn't. So he's adopted to this southern part of Germany. But yeah, I come from a very big family. When I started traveling, I just got out of a really rough season with my family, my mom being seriously sick, and me also having some rough time. And I started traveling because I had this dream of going to Hawaii, Kona, to YWAM, actually to do DTS there because they have dancing DTSs. And so at that time, actually, I used to be very involved in dancing. So I used to have like 2-3 hours a day dance classes in ballet, jazz, hip hop, all that kind of stuff. And I was really involved in that for
What's the DTS?
some time. The Heartbridge DTS.
Or what's a DTS?
Oh, a DTS is a discipleship training school. And basically, you have a phase where you go and you being taught all the things that you need to learn for the practical part, where you go on missions and then you share the gospel. Um, through, in my case, it would have been through dancing and musicals or things like this. So that was actually my dream. And then I prayed for it for 2 years, forgot about it. And then one day I got a call from my babysitter when I was young. And she was like, "Hey, I got your number from my mom. Let's, meet up." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, why not?" Got there, she tells me, "Yeah, we want to do DTS, and but we have two beautiful boys, and blah blah blah." And I was like, before you even finish the sentence, I'm gonna say yes, whatever you're gonna ask me. And she's like, "Yeah, I wanted to ask you if you want to be our nanny." And I'm like, "Yes, of course." I was like super excited because this would have that meant that I'm actually going to Kona, that place that I really wanted to go
Yeah.
for a very long time. And so went there, nannied two boys, her boys, and then I had another cute, adorable girl from another German family. So I had like three kids in the age 2 and 3 years. So yeah, I was busy
Oh yeah.
and nannying the kids when I met my husband. Actually, was taking care of them in the mornings, and then mostly the afternoon, evening times, I would have time to do whatever I wanted to do. Mostly that would be being in the prayer room or going out for a run, going to the beach because I love water.
Mm-hmm.
If I would not be a human being, I would be a
A
dolphin
fish.
or a fish.
Mm, dolphin.
I think a dolphin. I would prefer a dolphin, but I really love water, and it's my happy place. It's really
Yeah.
my happy place.
I know. Got to experience that firsthand. She would jump from like crazy heights into the ocean, and I was like the videographer recording
Yeah.
the whole event in case anything happened. So I have evidence that I was there.
It was not my fault. It wasn't
Before they
me.
say, "Hey, you took this white lady, and now she's got." I'm like, nope. I told her not to jump. She want to jump.
She
Oh
didn't
yeah,
want to listen,
oh
eh?
yeah, jump now.
Oh yeah, jump. Jump. It's your risk.
Oh my goodness. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's how we met, and that's her background. So from her story, or
Yes.
from the short explanation, you can see, or you can hear some similarities.
Yeah.
Both firstborns, both have five siblings, and in the same order as regards the genders, like three boys after us,
Even the age gaps
and
in
then
between them are similar.
two girls at the end.
Mm.
The age gaps are quite similar, although my siblings are older than hers, but like the age gaps are also quite similar in how, how wide apart some siblings are to the other as regards their age.
Yeah.
And also the behavior is crazy.
It's not just crazy. It's just scary, I would say. Like the first time I went to Nigeria and I got to experience them with the whole family. I was just like so in shock because I was like, they are actually like my siblings. Like each one of them, like your first brother, he was like my brother, the first one. Then the second one was exactly like his second
Similar
brother.
qualities, similar.
And it was just very similar and it was just so scary. Like I got goosebumps all over my body and I was like, yo, so weird.
Mhm.
So God he literally took it literal. Literally took it literal. He took it for real when I was asking him for somebody that would understand my whole family concept, my whole family in itself, because it's not typical for a German or Western family, at least not here in Germany. I don't know how it is in the States or in different other countries, but here in Germany, it's not usual to have five siblings.
In Europe and
So,
Germany, yes.
so I would mostly be called somebody that is a weirdo, or I'm just socially awkward because I'm coming from a big family. And so for me, it was always important that I would have somebody eventually that would understand my family dynamics.
Yep.
And so I was somehow happy in a way that I knew, okay, he was also firstborn and he knew the weight that you have as a firstborn
hmm
and the responsibility that you have as a firstborn. And it never ends. Even now that we're married, it never ends. We
No.
still get calls from our siblings. We still, happily answer those calls and happily are there for them. But yeah, that just to say, this was a little summary about us.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys know already that we met in the cafeteria in Hawaii, in Kona. And then we had this big talk about, yeah, what it means to be ready. Because for us, it meant, okay, are we now full in or are we out? Because we didn't want to play around or date or anything like that. Because, or like, of course we dated because that's the dating phase before you get married. But for us, it was okay. Either we are there to also get married or we out completely. And we're not just going to joke around and just, say, oh, yeah, maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't work. And so, yeah, that's when our journey began.
Oh yeah, and like I started at the beginning of the podcast. We had some oppositions,
Yeah.
from people around who were not sure about my intentions or how this was going to work and where it was going to go.
Mm.
Never really spoke to me directly about it, but went to her and started putting pressure on her.
Yeah.
Giving her different negative opinions about the whole thing, which actually affected her so much that it actually began to affect her health.
So bad that I couldn't even sleep in the room anymore. And I had to literally walk out of the room and sleep outside of that room. I don't even know if the people in that room knew that. But it was really bad. It was like very controlling, very bad in a way because it was like I looked up to some of them actually because I was new to YWAM. I didn't know YWAM before. I heard about it, but I never really went to YWAM. And so I got there as a newbie, being there serving, and I'm in the room with other women that are much older than me and leaders, and have been with YWAM for a very long time. And so for me, I was looking up to them. And so I got insecure because they were talking onto me and like just saying, yeah, no, what if he just wants you because of your papers and that you just together for 3 months and then what? Are you gonna go and you're gonna have long distance? This is not gonna work. And are you sure? And it's just based on emotions and this is not gonna end well and he's doing this and he's doing that and blah blah blah. And it was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot.
And that's the part where it was very important that she knew the reason why she entered into the whole thing in the first place.
Yeah.
It was very important also that you were quite strong-willed.
Yeah.
Which is not very typical because most times a lot of young ladies at that time, mostly from the States or any other part of the world, would be easily persuaded to give up a relationship, although it wasn't really wrong, just because people spoke negative stuff into it. And so for me, I actually, when I heard that everything was going on and she was not feeling well and everything, I wanted to just stop the whole thing. I didn't want her to go through all those stress and like I knew or I had like an experience of how things could turn out when there's a lot of negative talks coming into it.
Mhm. But
But
that's
what?
sorry. Can I say something to that?
Yeah.
That's why it's so important that you define your relationship from the very beginning and that you don't get into a relationship just based on emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, we took this time off where we prayed and God was giving each other's like visions or like confirmations and different things. And through that, it helped us to define our relationship and be strong in the beginning.
Yes.
Because if you wouldn't have done that and taken time to ask God about it, not based on the emotions, but based on what He's saying,
Yeah. We wouldn't
we
have
we
survived that
wouldn't
attack.
not at all because it was just one of many attacks
Mm-hmm.
that we faced.
Oh yeah.
And so it was just the first year, it was really full on. Um, or the first couple months at least before we got married, but even after the beginning stage. So if you don't know from the very beginning, if you're all in or all out, like it's not gonna go well. You really need to be sure about it, even when you're scared, and even feel when you feel like I'm not ready, but somehow something inside of you is saying, "Yeah, you should go. You should do it." And a slight whisper is in there. Then you have to hop in and just ask God that He
Yeah.
gives you the courage. But defining the relationship is so important.
Very important. Yeah. That also helped her to know where she stood. And yeah, I mean, also being the firstborn, and she's like, I would say her personality also comes into play there. Being strong-willed and knowing what she wants and not allowing anybody to yeah, change that.
Yeah.
So that actually helped us, and we were able to go through that. Eventually, we left the place
Oh, yeah.
because I had to go raise some funds. It's not cheap to live in Hawaii, so
It's not cheap. Not at all.
no,
I would even say it's quite expensive comparison. I would even compare it to Switzerland, or even more
it was quite
than Switzerland.
expensive. I don't know if it's more, maybe the same. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but it was quite expensive. And so we had to move from there to the mainland. And by the mainland, for those that are not familiar with the states and how everything is called, mainland is everything that is not an island in the states. So you move from Hawaii
The
to
mainland.
other parts of the states like Virginia, Washington D.C., Maryland, all the other states. So we moved to. Actually, we passed through California.
No, first we went to Honolulu
Yeah,
and had like 2 weeks in Honolulu.
true. That was nice. Yeah,
That was like a little bit like a honeymoon in a way. He wanted to get married. You forgot that part to mention that part. So we crossed the street and we saw this beautiful church, and then we met this pastor, really nice couple, and just started talking. And then the week after, during the week, we went by, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I can officiate to you guys." And I looked at him, and my husband was like, yeah, I don't know exactly what you said, but I mean, he would have been ready, but he could tell that I wasn't ready. And I was like, no way. Like in my mind, I'm like, no way I'm doing this. Because in my head, my mom was always saying, oh, yeah, you have to be together for at least 2 years. And then, then you have to be engaged for another year or so. And then you get married. This is like the typical thing. From us, we already knew within a year's time, we're going to get married. And we made this very clear for our family too. Because you know what happened, guys? We had a lot of how do you call it, like a lot of difficulties through other people, but never from our families. So his grandmother actually said to his dad or mom that he would marry somebody like Ruth in the Bible. And my brother, that I'm very close to, had this crazy dream before I even went to Hawaii. And it was this dream that he saw me on the beach, and then he saw somebody else. And above me there was this crazy light stream going from the sky towards me. And then this other person had the same thing, this light stream. And he saw us just walking closer and closer together. And he thought like this other person would be him. So he would come to Hawaii too. And, he had this dream. And then one sudden, in like 1 second, he saw me and this person becoming one. And this crazy big light screen was just one. And at that point, he knew, okay, it cannot be him because that's kind of weird. And so he knew that I would meet somebody there. And so he, like, for people, somehow God prepared their hearts already.
Yeah.
And people were all like, oh, yeah, you're going to come back with somebody. Like, you're going to find your other significant, significant other.
Okay.
Is that the right word? um, so yeah, we had those things. And, you know, what I want to say is that we were really blessed with a really cool family that
Oh
really
yeah.
supported us. And because of that, my husband was like, okay, yeah, let's just get married after 3 months. And I'm like, no way, not gonna happen.
I mean, on our family side, like my dad was always open to the idea that I could marry someone that was not Nigerian or African.
Mm,
I didn't really care as regards where they would come from. I just wanted to marry someone that was right for me in that sense. So
mm.
all this talk of paper or wherever the person was, uh,
Rubbish.
it didn't really matter to me. I mean, there are people that it does
Yeah.
matter to, and I understand why. But for me, it didn't really matter to
Mm.
me that much because I was in the States, and I actually thought I would get married to an American, but it didn't really seem to be the way that I wanted to go.
You could have,
I could have because
if
I
you would have
actually
wanted to have paper, then
dated
yeah.
someone. If I really wanted to stay, that would have happened. But that was not really my goal. And so when I
Mm.
met my wife and I told my dad who she was, the fact that she was German, but also a Swedish part, and explained a few things to him, even without him seeing you, he was
Yeah.
like, "That's the one." Like he was so convinced.
Yeah.
But when I told him that her name is Ruth, even like he was even more convinced because, like my wife said, my grandma had told her that
How
the
did he
person would
react it?
be
Like,
like Ruth. And so he was like, "What?" And then I think my mom now told him and said, "Hey, do you remember what your mom told you?" So I think they called my grandma and
mm-hmm.
told her. She was like so excited,
Ah, that woman is
so
crazy.
excited. Thank God we
Wow.
got to see her. Yeah, it
Last
was.
year.
That wasn't. That's another story for another time about
Wow.
how we traveled to Nigeria and how the experience was. But yeah. And so we had a lot of blessings from my family side, although they never really got to be at the wedding. My mom
Yeah.
came afterwards, but um,
Never met in person,
no,
over the
yeah,
phone, mostly every week
mhm,
or every two
yeah,
weeks. We tried to really connect through the phone and really get to know each other. And even my parents and your parents also over the phone.
yes,
So we tried that. And of course, I had a talk with them. My parents had a talk with him. And so we really tried this whole thing of trying to
involve them,
evolve then into
and
our
they were
relationship.
all in approval, so
Yeah,
that was a big
that
blessing.
was a big
Yeah,
blessing.
and so we were in Honolulu, and then we moved from there to the mainland.
LA
I mean, LA was quite temporary, so
was a day.
the main thing is
Stop.
this: I went to Maryland to stay with a pastor friend of the family,
Shout out to
Pastor Patrick
Pastor Patrick.
and Auntie Tina. So I
We
stayed
love
with
you.
them, and they were a blessing to me that time. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't have been able to afford to stay anywhere else. So my wife moved back
To
to Sweden. Actually,
yeah.
did you go to
I mean,
Germany first?
yeah, I stopped. Well, first of all, I stayed over for like 1 or 2 days at some really cool friends in LA
Hmm.
that I haven't seen for a long time. And then from there, I went to Germany for a week or two, packed my bags and everything that I had, and moved to Sweden because I thought I would start studying in Sweden and start doing this whole journey being in Sweden because I didn't want to be in Germany anymore. So I moved there, started working in Sweden as how do you call it?
Caregiver,
Caregiver. Uh, well, in an elderly home,
elderly.
I was helping out. In Sweden's a little bit different. You go and do home visits, but they also have their own home somehow. So yeah, I was there working there also in the part where there are a lot of dement people that have Alzheimer's and dementia. It was really a tough, whew, tough time doing that, but also blessing because I started appreciating my grandma a lot more because at that time I was actually living with my grandma and Ana, the husband of my grandma. And so yeah, that's then our long distance started. So we had
Yeah,
long distance for 5 months.
5 months, and we had known each other for just 3 months. So our
Yeah,
long distance
longer
was quite
than
longer
seeing
than
each
how
other.
long we knew each other physically. But of course, we were communicating and everything. And I tried to get the visa to go to Sweden.
But how
Um,
how was that time?
the period that
Yeah. How was those 5 months? Because for me, I mean, I was working a lot to occupy my mind, but I also felt like it was super lonely in a way. And trying to get to know you also more. And then it was super hard with all this time differences
yeah,
and time zones. And
I
it was
mean, for sure,
just,
it was tough.
it was very
Definitely.
tough.
It was a lonely period.
I was crying a
Um,
lot.
but eventually, I had to start using it for something. I was training quite a bit and also working when I could on the side, helping Pastor Patrick
Mm.
to get some little cash in. Um,
Doing music.
I was doing a lot of music also.
Yeah,
That's to
I remember.
keep myself busy, and I was also helping in his church
Yeah.
with the media, websites, and stuff,
Mm. But can you
and
remember
also
that
worship.
time? Can you remember that time when we had like a clash or like a point where we like almost broke up?
Oh yeah, I do. I mean, I wouldn't say we almost broke. I think we had to decide what the next step would be for us.
Yeah.
But that happened after I had applied for my
Or
visa and I got
yeah.
denied.
Yeah.
That's the part. Because I applied to go to Sweden to meet her there, but it didn't really work out somehow. Because I knew that I couldn't apply to Germany directly, because they would see that I was dating a German and they would be like, "No,
You're here to
you're
stay.
gonna go and stay."
Ah,
So she
people.
was in Sweden, and I was trying to apply to go to Sweden, and I was denied, and it was terrible because man, I was so sad. All the weight that I'd gained, enjoying some nice African food, I lost it within a week or two.
Hmm.
And
They told me.
pastor friend of mine was like, "Are you okay? Because I can see in your body something is off." I'm like, "Yeah." I wasn't very happy that I couldn't make it,
Yeah.
and so I told her, I'm like, "Hey, I'm trying to come. It's not working." And before then, people have been saying, it's easy, just get married to an American, you just stay here. Who comes to America and then tries to go to Europe? Like, what's in Europe?
Mm.
And in my mind, I wasn't thinking about Europe. I was thinking about the person I was going to be with, not really the location.
Yeah.
I'd never ever imagined
Yeah.
that I was going to move to or live in Europe.
I mean, me neither. We both wanted to stay in the States actually, but it
Just didn't work out. But
just didn't work out for us that way. But meanwhile, like we need to explain this whole thing because okay, I'm German. I'm very privileged. Let me just say it like this. I'm very privileged and very white. I mean, I grew up with being in contact with Nigerians, people from Kenya, and like different different people. I even grew up with Australians, and like in that sense, I really had a different view of people, but I did not know that it was so complicated with papers
I mean, to get visas.
and visas. I did not know that, and so for me, in that time, it was so hard to sometimes comprehend the exhaustion and frustration that you would feel to apply for a visa just to meet your girlfriend. Like I was so upset about it. And that's the first time where I experienced like, wow, this is real. Like this is for real. Like they really do this. Just because he comes from a different nationality or whatsoever. I don't know what they were thinking, but anyways, I just think it's absurd. And
Of course, they've had experiences of Africans. They go to the countries and stay, and so in trying to avoid that, yeah, they put on this extreme measures.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I was denied, and that's the thing. Like she said, like for her, she gets to travel to most countries visa free.
Yeah.
You know, and so for you, it's quite weird having to see me struggle.
Yeah.
In that
It took me a
that
lot of
in that area.
I think it took me a lot of understanding, like trying to really ask him questions and how he feels and trying to also imagine how it would feel to help in a way because that's the thing, something that we had to learn to understand one another through explaining where we're coming from. Because otherwise, you cannot show empathy or any kind of remorse or anything. You need to show some feelings and need to console the other person if the other person is down. But you can't do that if you don't understand one another.
Yep.
And so that's why we started with this whole thing in the beginning of our podcast, like where are we coming from? Like who are we?
Yep.
And yeah, and that is very, very important because if you don't know that the background where you come from, you can't really understand.
Have a context,
because
to understand.
the fact is that the past and where we come from shapes us.
It does.
Ultimately, we hope that God shapes us in the future and continues to shape us, but it affects where we're coming from, in our character, in how we raise our children, or different things. And so, there's a fly, and my husband is about to get the fly swatter.
Where's
I know him.
Where is it?
I
hate flies.
Are you really gonna hunt that fly down in the middle of the podcast?
It's not here.
It's behind you.
Behind me?
Yeah, like if you go with your right arm to the back, you probably get it. Oh Lord,
all right,
help
guys.
us.
This is my nice tool. I just love it. It's like probably my favorite toy in this
It goes.
house.
Bzz, bzz, bzz.
It roasts the fly. I hate the smell of it.
Electrocutes.
Yeah. Death by electrocution. So mean. But yeah, get to kill all the flies.
Oh my goodness.
Just hate the sound and the movement. I don't know, like some other animals, I know the purpose why God made them. For flies, I still still struggling to understand their purpose. I feel like God just made them to just annoy those people.
Just out of that reason, my husband prefers winter than summer.
Oh yeah, because you hardly see them in winter. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Unless you meet those ones that wear winter jackets, then you struggle. But anyway, yeah. So that we had the long distance, and I applied, and I was rejected. We can talk about the whole topic of Africans needing visas to travel abroad and everything in another podcast. But since I couldn't make it, she had to be the one to come. But back then, she didn't really have the finances yet.
Oh, it was just one struggle after another. It worked, but never got paid because the tax office didn't do its job.
She couldn't get her number. So her tax number wasn't out yet. So without a tax number, you cannot be paid because taxes have to be paid.
So what happened is on Monday, I get a call. I'm like, honey, you are getting on a flight on Friday. Pack your bags, be ready. On Friday, your flight is going.
Who said that to you?
You. You were like, babe. Babe.
Oh, you say honey. Because honey, normally it's you that says
I'm the one saying honey to him. Okay. He said, babe, pack your bags. On Friday, you're flying. So he called me and
I was like, if we don't do this right now, if I don't bring her over here, it does not work.
Yeah. No.
So I had to speak to pastor I was staying with, and also try to raise funds in other ways so I could pay for the flight for her to come over. So did that, and then she was able to come over, and
I was so nervous.
Yeah,
I was sweating the whole thing, guys. I was sweating on my palms. I was like so nervous, and I was stuttering. I didn't even know what to say. I was like, am I like, if I leave the flight and I see him, am I gonna kiss him? Am I gonna hug him? Am I gonna say hi? Like, because you were my first boyfriend. And And so for me, it was like super strange. I didn't know how to react. And then I come there to the airport. He picks me up and then goes to a place at the airport where there's a piano and starts singing a song for me in the middle of the airport. I'm like, I was a nervous wreck after this. No, seriously, emotionally, completely, I didn't know
Yep.
what to say. I did not what I didn't know. Like I was just there. I was just buff. That's the German word. Buff.
I'm seeing the fly right now, and I'm trying to end the life
Don't
of
hit me with it.
the fly.
Do not hit me.
If you do not want to die, you better leave this place. All the animal activists.
Yo, wait.
Why do you kill a fly?
Give me. This could be censored.
Are you
Or how do you call it?
because of the fly?
Yes.
Really?
You are animal.
You're
Animal
mean to
killer.
animals. Anyway, so I proposed at the airport. First of all, I played a song, and then proposed.
Yeah.
That was the 12th of August, 2016.
Wait.
Which happens to also be the birthday of
Zane. Yeah, which is crazy. We didn't know until this year. We figured it out this
Yeah,
year.
for some reason.
We were
Yeah.
like, wait. We got engaged on the 12th of August. That's the day, the birthday of our son.
Yeah.
Somehow we never really connected it, which is really weird and strange. But anyways, it was crazy. And I didn't even know that you asked my dad
Oh yeah, I did.
for my hand up to this year.
Before I
He-
proposed, actually, he had a call with her dad and asked for permission. if
How'd
I
that
could.
go?
He was just surprised that I wanted to get his permission first. And he was like, sure, I approve it. Go ahead. He was excited. So after I'd got his blessing and everything, I proposed. But I wanted him to know that I was going to do that. So he was like, oh, okay, you're engaged now? But it was nice. But she didn't know.
I didn't
didn't
know,
know.
up to this year, guys.
That I actually asked for
7
permission.
years later, I found out that my husband asked my dad for permission.
Yeah.
7 years. How could you keep this from me?
I wasn't even trying to
7
keep it.
years.
It was like it wasn't like a secret or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, permission
was-
granted, let's go.
I
I
was
wasn't
so
thinking.
confused.
I wasn't like gonna tell you. You know what? I asked your dad. I was like, it's not
Yeah.
not very important information.
I guess it never really,
It never really
Got-
came up.
yeah, it never really came up. But
You know.
yeah,
So and then while we were there, we knew somehow that we had to get married there. Otherwise, it'd be difficult to see each other again.
Yeah.
If she leaves or if she had left without us getting married. So we started talking about getting married in Washington D.C. I told my family, and they were like, "We approve. I mean, we can't be there. But you're old enough to decide when you want to get married, so we approve of the marriage and we bless it."
Mm.
But I wanted her to tell her own family, but she couldn't because
One day after our engagement, I got a call from somebody telling me, hey, I can't reach your parents. I'm like, why? I was like, yeah, your house is on the fire. And I'm like, excuse me, what? I'm like, yeah, your house is burning and nobody can like reach your family and nobody knows if they're inside or not. And so for me, I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like hours later, finally, I got a call that they're fine. They went out, but my brother and the dog made it out in time. He fell asleep actually and then woke up, which I think up to now was the Holy Spirit just waking him up and saying, hey, you need to get out of this house. But the whole house burned down with all our stuff inside. And I get this call and, I knew that we would get married here in Washington. But after this whole traumatic experience by my parents, I just didn't want to overload them with another big news. I didn't want to say traumatic news because it's not traumatic, but it's like big news that I didn't know how they would react to. And I didn't want them to just make any kind of effort to come when they would not be able to come. And so somehow I didn't want them to be disappointed or anything like that. And also I didn't want me to talk me out of this whole thing, because in the end of the day, it was my decision and it was me getting married to you, and it's going to be us for the rest of our lives.
Like they knew that
It's
we were
not,
gonna get married, and they were looking forward to it, but they didn't know when it was gonna happen.
yeah.
And I'm sure for them, for at least for their first daughter, they wanted to be present for this special occasion.
Yeah.
I was actually pushing her to tell them. I didn't want them to think that
To the very last day.
yeah, I didn't want them to think that I was forcing her.
Yeah,
to,
which I understand.
to get married and everything. So I was like, "You sure you want to tell them?" Like, I can't tell them. They're either gonna convince me to not get married yet, or they're gonna try to come. They can't, because right now there's a whole thing going on with the house. So she decided not to, and so we got married without her parents knowing at that point in time.
Yeah.
It's quite tough and hard step to take. But that's also a part of her that is also quite determined and strong-willed, and she knows what she wants. Because without that part of her, I don't think we would have survived a lot of the attacks, like I said before. We were able to take this step, and we moved into it. So that's like how many months after we were married? Let's say 8 months after we started dating, that we got married. So we got engaged on the 12th of August, and then we got married on the 19th of September.
Yeah.
So a month after.
Crazy. We stayed we stayed close to 2 months. Oh, I stayed close to 2 months in Maryland.
Yeah, you did.
Somehow I didn't feel like
time just went by very fast. Yeah.
Because we were so occupied, we did a lot of stuff and we had to go back and forth, and then paper stuff. But then we were also quite involved with the church.
Yeah, paper stuff in the state is a breeze.
Oh,
compared to Germany. Oh my goodness.
If I ever hear somebody complaining about paperwork in the States, do not.
Before you get married,
don't.
In Germany, especially to a foreigner, the amount of papers.
But even normal people, they have to go through a lot of paperwork.
The amount of papers you have to put together. And in Washington, D.C., who cares?
They were just passports, name, when do you want to get married, and who should officiate you.
They don't even care if you're there illegally. Just your passport, your name, and then, yeah.
That was it. I was like, excuse me, what? That's how easy it is?
Yeah, man.
We were both so shocked. We were so shocked. I was so shocked because I knew that getting married in Germany, even for somebody that both would be German, it's still a lot of work. And you have to tell them at least a half a year before you have the date. Mm-hmm. It normally takes a whole half a year, 6 months for that time, because they have to check everything, all the papers and everything. And we're referring to
the court wedding because we had the court wedding in DC. You can also have the church wedding. I don't know how it will work to translate from the church wedding into the official documents, and I'm sure it will work in the States. But in Germany, you have to do the court wedding first.
Yeah.
Before you do the white wedding. That is just a ceremony for your family. Yeah. The main thing is the court one.
Yeah.
It's called Standesamt. And to do that, the amount of documents they require of you.
You will die. You will die. I'm telling you.
So it was good that we already had that from the States, so we didn't have to get married here.
No,
in Germany, and we had everything that we needed. And so, after we got married, you told your mom.
I was like, Mom, if you listen to this, I'm so sorry about it. I love you, and she knows. But I was like, hey, Mom, are you sitting right now? If not, can you sit down, please? Because I didn't want her to, collapse or anything like that. So I made sure that at least she was sitting, okay?
Oh, nice.
So I called her and I was like, Mommy, I hope you're sitting. If not, just sit down, please, for a moment. I have to tell you something." And she was like, "Okay, what?"
After still dealing with the whole
Yeah,
house
whole loss
fire,
of everything that
everything.
she owned, like all her pictures, her wedding dress, everything that she wanted to give to us at some point, everything was just gone. And dealing with that, and then you get the call from your daughter, your firstborn. "Oh yeah, I got married. I'm sorry, but also not sorry. But yeah, it's okay if you don't want to talk to me. Um, I love you. Just wanted to let you know. No words, nothing for like 1 or 2 months." It was, oh my God, it was so hard. It was really hard for me because I'm a very family person and I love my parents so much. Like, I would die for them. Like, I love and I honor my parents. Like, they mean so much, and my family means a lot to me. I mean, I technically felt like I raised my last three siblings during the time when my mom was really sick and not well. Um but yeah, it was good for me. It was a very good decision. I would never do it over, and like do it over in a different way.
Like, yeah, I wouldn't take it back.
Yeah, thank you. That's the correct word. Because I think that was a really good and a major decision for our relationship and for us. Because it was us deciding about our marriage.
Yeah.
Nobody else. It was just us in that court wedding, and of course, Pastor Musa.
All the pastors
Sorry,
we know, all the
Pastor
pastors we know, all the
Patrick.
names are now intertwining.
Pastor Patrick
Pastor Patrick,
and
the wife,
Auntie Tina.
and other members of
Yeah,
the
to another couple. So it
yeah
was like
the
two
couple.
couples
Yeah,
that were there, and we were happy about it because it somehow felt like they were representing
yeah,
our
it felt intimate.
parents. It
Yeah,
felt very intimate. You actually cried.
I had something in my eye. I think.
Not cried, okay. Teared up. That's the right word because he was like, "Oh my God." He was like that. I've never experienced him actually like that ever. I hope at one point I get to.
Is that a goal that we're trying to achieve?
No, I just hope to see that part sometimes because I feel like
Ah,
it's good and needed.
well, I wish you luck
Um,
until we get there. But yeah, there was one time that I actually really cheered.
not
But
even for the birth of your children, you teared up.
no, because I was trying to be there to be strong for you. I wasn't trying to tear up there.
I
Yeah,
expected him actually to tear up, but
yeah. But for Jason during his circumcision, that
that you
yeah, yeah,
you teared up for.
because I wasn't really
And I'm
what
I wished I was there and I had the
of
camera.
everything that you wished you were there. Just if you wanted to be there to see me tear up
Yeah.
and then record it or what?
No, not recorded, but to see. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But anyway, yeah, I think like to summarize the whole thing, we went for the circumcision of Jason, and then they had to put him under anesthesia, like full anesthesia, so he was
Mm.
knocked out. So the sight of that, I couldn't take it. I was like, wait a minute, this looks almost like death. So I was like, yeah, it was really hard to watch. And so I was just
Thank God you
bawling.
were.
I went to the bathroom and I was just bawling my eyes out. And I was like, hey, he's just under anesthesia. He's not dead or anything. But somehow I couldn't process that. I couldn't handle that
Mm.
somehow. So all the tears that I was saving up,
They were just running down your
everything
face now.
just came down. And yeah, it was also a very like a very intimate time also when God was just talking to me. I was like, hey, um, you see how deep you love your son.
Much more.
How much more do I love you? So it's kind of a revealing moment to me how children can actually bring the soft side of you, but also the crazy part when they misbehave. But
Let
also
me tell you
the
guys,
soft
I'm
side of
kind of
you.
crazy.
So that was interesting. Yeah. But she wasn't there, and she hoped that she was there. But anyway, you told your mom about it. She didn't speak to you for a bit, and somehow she was thinking that I forced you
Yeah.
at
She
the
was even
beginning.
asking me, she was even on the phone, she was asking me, did he force you? Did he do this to you? And I was like, no, mom. It was my own decision. I took this decision and I took this step because I wanted this and I would never take this back because this is what we decided and this is what we wanted. Nobody forced me. Nobody put me in this position. I chose it.
I mean, that was what I was trying to avoid. The
Blaming.
idea that I might have made her do it in that sense.
Mm.
But thing is, we after we got married,
Mm.
like okay, the good news is that when we met, eventually everything changed, and they were happy that we got married. They were so happy for us, and even the dad was like very happy that you guys got married. But before we got there, after we got married, you had to go back
Yeah, to
to
Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah, I went back to Sweden, started
Yes.
working again.
Mhm.
I mean, I stopped for my birthday actually in Stockholm. And stayed with my best friend,
Yeah.
one of my best friends that I also met in Hawaii. At that point, lovely woman, Steffi, we love you. You're dear to our hearts, and
Yeah, well,
thankful
like
to have
we've
you.
known her as long as we've known each other,
She
so she knows the
knows.
whole. I mean, she knows the whole public story that
Yeah,
we portray. She doesn't know all the intimate part, but
yeah,
yeah. Yes. So you went back to Sweden, and I had to apply again. I
yeah.
had to reapply for the Swedish visa, which I was denied previously.
Mm,
'Cause mind you, I couldn't apply for the German visa
yeah,
because she's German.
yeah,
Some kind of weird law. If I wanted to go to Germany, I would have to apply for a special kind of visa.
yeah.
But I just wanted a visitor's visa to just go see family. So, but I could apply now to Sweden
Mm,
because she is part of the European Union. Like Germany is
mm,
part of the European Union. So every country that is part of this union, you have some kind of right to visit if you're married to a citizen or an official of a member state or member country.
yeah.
And so I went back to the Swedish embassy to apply for this visa again, and they were like, "This guy we
They
just
were
did
fighting it. Let's just tell it us like this, okay, guys? They were fighting so hard
not to give it to me.
not to give it to him, but glory be to God,
They couldn't deny
our
me.
Father in heaven. They
That's the
could
thing.
not.
The legal part of it was like they could not deny me, even if they were wanting to prove that he will not come back or whatever. It didn't matter. Like legally, they could not deny me because I was married to an official from a member state,
Yeah,
and um was going to visit that country,
yeah,
and she wasn't really a citizen of that country.
yeah,
So denying me would be like denying her
yeah,
from going there.
yeah.
So since they couldn't deny me, they refused to process it in the States. They sent my application to Sweden
They just made us suffer.
and told me that the court in Sweden will decide my case.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. So they sent it to Sweden, and an official actually calls
Mm.
your grandma.
Yeah, actually, my grandma had to stand up and also help us. Thank you, Grandma, in Sweden. We love you. She helped us a lot in this season also, and she was writing a letter that he would stay, and that we would provide for him and anything like that. And then called her about the details about our relationship and how long we've known each other, and etc. 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 und pp. Auf Deutsch gesagt. um, and yeah, and then shortly after, I get a call from my husband, and he's like, "Guess what, honey? He always does that to me. He always does it." And he's like, "Guess what, honey? I didn't get the visa." I was like, "What?" oh, I'm just joking. I got the visa. I'm like, are you serious?
Don't do this to me.
Don't do this to me. Ever, never, ever.
That's like Zayn's new favorite phrase. I will never, ever, ever anymore. Ever anymore.
No, I know where it's coming from. But anyways,
yeah, so I got the visa. I mean, they
he
tried
got
to
the
deny
visa.
me. They couldn't.
Finally,
I
it was in
applied.
November or
I
not?
applied. Yeah, I applied for 3 months.
Yeah.
Multiple entry. They gave me 2 months and single entry. Like they're trying to limit
but
everything.
you know what? It was enough for us. It was enough.
Those people, man, it's something else. I'm like, you guys are just protecting your country from the wrong people.
Yeah, it was funny because Sweden was even more complicated than Germany.
Oh yeah,
if you think about it.
I mean, if I had applied to Germany, it would have been more complicated.
Yeah, but like
so.
then the visa afterwards was easier. The family reunion
visa. Anyway.
That one went in 2 months.
2 weeks.
2 weeks and 2 days.
2 days. Normally it takes a year before you get it.
Let this be on your lips. 2 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days. People, I've never heard something like this. Ever. Ever, ever. People were talking about get ready. It can be up to a year, 2 years. Who knows? I was like, no, God, this can't be happening.
Another long distance.
You brought us here for a purpose. You're gonna make it happen. So I was like, okay, guys, sorry. Just in a short notice, I had coffee before we had this podcast.
We had to, otherwise we're gonna fall asleep on this mic.
And we're like, this is not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, so it went really fast in a way. So it was really cool.
Because I came to Sweden first.
Yeah. Then to Germany. My grandparents
got to experience winter for the first time.
Snow.
Because I was summer hopping. I was going from one country to another during summer. And Hawaii is warm a lot of the times. So I never experienced winter. My first experience of winter was in Sweden. I wouldn't recommend that.
He stepped out of the train.
I would recommend that you have winter somewhere else a bit more mild or milder.
He stepped out of the train and froze. Literally, he was just standing still. And before he went on the airplane, or even when he arrived in Stockholm, because I couldn't pick him up because there was a snowstorm, I prayed for just a little bit of snow, and I got a whole snowstorm. Sorry, babe. Anyways, I called him. I was like, honey, I hope you have enough clothes on. Like, you need at least 2 or 3 layers because it's going to be very cold. And he got out of the train and no hat on, no gloves on, no scarf, not really a real warm jacket. So, yeah, it was quite.
Yeah, it was cold.
It was a cute.
It was cold. Yeah.
It was a cute sight. I felt really for him, so I just went there.
She took off everything that she was wearing, and she was like just covered me up with it. It was freaking cold, and they actually had a lot of snow then.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of snow. So my first experience of
snow.
I mean, I wasn't there for Christmas. I wanted to say a white Christmas, but yeah, it was quite a lot of snow. And then we moved from there, so we were trying to stay and to see if we were gonna live in Sweden. That didn't really work out very well, so we decided to go to Germany.
Drove by bus.
Yeah. Oh, that was a long one.
Was it 38 hours?
That was like the longest bus ride I ever took. And I was like, I'm never going to do that again.
Never.
Like, it sounded like fun in our heads until we did it. So we arrived there. The dad came to pick us up at the bus station. I see this huge man, like 2'2", and like broad and everything. I was like, I don't enter wala. Wait, he shook my hands and his palm covered all my hands. I was like, Goliath done Big David. Sorry, like he's big, but also quite gentle, gentle at heart.
Yeah.
But I met
Yes.
him for the first time. He was excited to pick us up, took us, and then drove us home and got to meet the mom and the siblings. Um, Back then, a lot of her siblings, the younger siblings, couldn't speak English,
Mm.
but like the older ones could. I mean, now they'll understand English. So,
Yeah.
um,
You understand German, so you
I
can
don't
just
it really
speak
matter anymore. I can
fluently.
speak German with them. So,
Yeah.
but I got to meet them for the first time. Mom wasn't very happy that I got to see the grandparents first before I saw them,
Oh, yeah.
but I got to meet them and we had a very good time. And they really took me in, welcomed me.
Yeah.
So it was a nice time. Before I had to return back to Nigeria
Yeah.
to apply for.
Family reunion visa that we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah. You went there. I then stayed with my parents. At that time, they did not have a apartment yet, so we lived in a church, in a hall with just mattresses and not even a real bathroom with a shower, just a bathroom with a sink and a
No
toilet.
joke. A lot of experiences here.
And so, yeah, from there, I tried to get a job, apply for a job in Switzerland. Got a job. Crazy. Really crazy. I went into the store and I was like, hey, I'm looking for a job. Would you like? Would you like me? And then she was asking me for my address. And I was like, I'm sorry, right now I'm homeless. I literally said I'm homeless. I'm like, right now, I can't give you an address. I can only give you a phone number because I don't have really like I have an address, but it's not really a home because yeah, my a home burnt down, and so I don't know if she accepted me out of pity or
Probably.
because
Well, she didn't really know what you had to offer yet,
no.
so it was probably a pity.
But let me tell you guys,
Pity
I
employment.
was one of the best.
For sure. They even wanted to make her a manager afterwards.
Yes, they wanted to make me an assistant manager in that store. And I mean, I had some rough beginning, but after a while it was really good. And shortly after I was able to get a dorm room somewhere. That dorm room was the size of this,
Maybe small.
yeah, I would say the size of our bedroom right now that we have here
Bedroom in the camper.
in the caravan, yeah. And so got that and then yeah.
But even this is higher. Like it's high. I couldn't stand straight.
Yeah, because it was going down, so
It
the
was
like
at
underneath
the
the
roof
roof.
under yeah. What
Yeah.
do you even call that? Yeah,
In
in
German it's
English. Yeah,
Dachgeschosswohnung.
yeah, but there's a word for it in English.
I have no idea.
I can't remember the words.
But anyways, got that finally and then like sorted that out so at least we would have
Oh yeah, the
a
attic.
stay. Attic, yeah. We will at least have a stay once my husband would come. And I told her in the beginning already that I'm married and that at some point my husband's gonna come before we get to have another apartment because he had to stay here and then we have to look for another apartment. We can't just go from here to another place. And she was like, yeah, it's all good, blah, blah, blah. As soon as you enter Germany, that woman gave me trouble.
See all the expressions and all the East. I'm sure you know that. Yeah, it's like white outside and Nigerian inside. But anyway, yeah, she was giving us some issues for a very small room that we were staying that we were managing because it was so small. She was like, "Yeah, you can't be there. You shouldn't stay there. You got to look for somewhere else."
She was about to travel and be gone anyways.
She was gonna travel. She was not even gonna be there to see it.
Most of the days
But
she
she
wasn't
didn't
even
want
there.
us to be there
Yeah.
for some reason. So we had to look for somewhere else. But it was quite a short time to look for something. So we had to speak to Ruth's uncle.
Yeah.
Late uncle, sadly.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
miss you, Gunny.
So we had to speak to him, and he walked. So hey, come stay with me as long as you can.
Stayed on the floor.
Yeah,
Mattresses on the floor.
but it was like an upgrade
It was
from where
upgrade.
we were because we went
Bigger
into a
room.
room that was bigger. I could
Bigger
stand
room.
straight. Thank God.
Yeah.
We had like a mattress on the floor, and we are there for a month while looking
No,
for.
2 months, or not?
Was it 2 months?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
2 months. Because
While
you
looking,
arrived in April, May.
I arrived in May.
Yeah, beginning of May though.
Yeah.
And then we just stayed there for 1 or 2 weeks. We weren't allowed
Because we
to.
moved into our new place in July, just so you know.
Yeah, so we stayed May, June,
No. How long were we in the little
half
room?
of May, like at least half of May, 1.5 months. That's just
Maybe.
It was a little longer than a month.
Because I was in that room for a week or two. I'm not sure. The small room that we were in. We stayed with Guni, and then we moved into our own first apartment. Thank
felt
God.
so rich.
Thank God my wife was working there.
Oh.
I had no money.
Yeah.
So she was working in Switzerland. And in case you ask, in Switzerland, yes, because where we live is close to the border. We live in Germany, but we live close to the border to Switzerland and France, which means that you can just easily travel to those countries and back as if you're just going for a stroll or whatever. Like it's so close.
Yeah.
How
do you call it?
What? Is that what you said?
Dreieck.
Which means
three countries corner.
Makes no sense in English.
3 countries corner. Welcome to 3 countries corner.
But anyway, so she was working there and she was able to bring some money in at those times. And
at that time, it was a lot for me. A lot for us both.
Oh yeah,
being missionaries and just trying to survive. So for us, it was actually a lot. Although every month we would still be struggling in minus, because then he had to start also his studies, his school, and then of course like all the paper stuff costs money too. And so it was like a lot of money that went. And then we also had to save for our white wedding that we had then in 2017, the same year when you arrived.
That's true, because we also had a white wedding, so
in November,
so the family could experience a real wedding for their daughter. Although we had gotten married a year before, we still wanted to have a ceremony that they could be part of. So we did have it that same year. So there was a lot of money going to different things, settling down in Germany, trying to find my way, and thinking to eventually start language school, which happened next year. But I think that's a story for another time about how we integrated into Germany, how we started our life, and where we are. How marriage life was. Yeah. But we wanted to just give you guys a story about how we met, and I'm sure we skipped a lot of stuff. Yeah. We can talk for 5 hours about every detail about how we met and everything. Yeah. So, but the most important part, you
get to know.
And we thank God for bringing us this far. Or for bringing us that far. Then the story continues from there.
Yeah. But we really love to talk about a little bit about 7 years what we've learned. In 7 years, 7 things.
I mean, 7 years of like most of the years were in Germany. So life in Germany, life together, life as a family.
It's gonna be exciting, guys.
So the next episode will be talking about
So if you want to see more of us, subscribe, hit the like button, and comment down below what you guys want to hear. Also, if you don't know this really cool, or you have never seen this really cool engagement video, it's on our YouTube channel. Go check it out. It's so cool. And so go and check it out. If you want to see more of our episodes, then go check that out on YouTube too. You can watch it, or you can hear it right now on Spotify. Eventually on Apple Apple Podcast. I meant
podcast. Yeah, that one is taking a while, but it's on Spotify and on YouTube right now.
Yes. So we love to hear from you guys what you think, and keep it up. keep the thumbs up, please. We love you guys so much.
Yes.
See you guys soon in the
The
next
episode of
episode.
Ebony and Ruth podcast.
We love SML.
Ciao.
Bye bye. Adios, amigas. Buenas noches.